Hello everybody, another Proxmox video today. This one is a little bit interesting because I uploaded a PiHole video not too long ago, and I've been using PiHole for many years. In fact, I started using PiHole on a Raspberry Pi, but then when I got Proxmox in my home environment, my home lab environment, I found out I could create a container and host PiHole through there. And I've been using PiHole for years now, at least 3, 4 years. And I've seen PiHole grow into a much better, more polished product. Now, I have nothing against PiHole. I think PiHole is fantastic and it really does work well. However, I have a friend who's also runs a home lab, and he told me recently about AdGuard. And I remember hearing about AdGuard, a while ago, but I always thought that it was a hardware device, right? So it's a device you would buy, put it on your network, which would help you block the ads. But he said no, that AdGuard is actually a self-hosted product, and it's free and it works really well. So I decided to give AdGuard a try, and lo and behold, you can see here that I've replaced my PiHole with AdGuard, and honestly, for me, for my needs, it works better, right? Is it better than PiHole? That is a very subjective answer. I think if you're comfortable with PiHole, if you have PiHole already installed and set up, maybe there's no need to set up AdGuard. But if you want to experiment, or if you don't have a network-wide ad blocker installed, then I really do think that AdGuard is much easier to set up and get running right out of the gate. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I did mine. Go through the whole install script. It is ludicrously easy. I mean, you can see here, all it requires is just one line. That's it, just one line here, and that's pretty much it, and you'll get AdGuard installed. Now, on my AdGuard container here, I am using, if you look here, Fedora. Just wanted to try out Fedora, and it works fine. And actually, I do like Fedora a lot for a couple of cases, but I do understand that a lot of people do like Debian, Ubuntu, things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a Ubuntu 20.04 container and set up AdGuard on it. So again, very simple. We're just going to set up the container, AdGuard YouTube, set your password. I'm going to hit next. The template we're going to use is Ubuntu 20.04. Again, I've tried it on Debian. I've tried it on Arch even. I've tried it on Fedora. I've tried it on Ubuntu. It seems to work on most containers and distros out there. So whichever one you're comfortable with, CentOS, for example, it will work with that too. But again, just to keep things really easy, we're going to use Ubuntu 20.04. We're going to hit next. Okay, for the disk, again, 8 gigs I think is overkill for AdGuard, but we're going to leave it at that. And for the CPU, we're going to set it to 1 core because AdGuard really does not require any CPU or much CPU at all. There is one instance where AdGuard does use a lot of CPU, which is if you are searching the history, so to speak. But even then, if you have a fairly modern CPU, or if you're running this on a server Xeon CPU, then you should be okay there. So we're going to hit next. For the memory, 512 is more than enough for AdGuard. So we're going to hit next also. For the network. Now, for a DNS server, it is imperative that you have a static IP address, or else it will not work. If your IP address changes, then it gets really confusing and really hard to maintain. So you want a static IP address. Now I already have my AdGuard set up here. It's 192.168.1.10, and I have configured even my router's DHCP settings so that the DHCP pushes 192.168.1.10 as the DNS server. Okay, so you would assign a static IP to your AdGuard container over here. But again, for the purpose of the YouTube video, I'm going to set it to DHCP and show you how that works too, okay? So we're going to hit next, and then DNS, again, we're going to leave it as is, and we're going to hit confirm. Give it a second or so for the container to spin up. So task okay, so the container is done. And if you see the container here, it is just initializing itself. And it'll change names to AdGuard YouTube very, very soon. There we go, done. So AdGuard YouTube is done. We're going to go to the console and we're going to hit start. And we're presented with the login screen. So again, we're going to log in with your root credentials. So root and your password. And again, it is always best practice that whenever you're installing something, always update your OS, your VM, whether it's bare metal, whether it's a VM or even a container. So we're going to run the apt update command. Okay, we have 132 packages upgradable. We're going to run apt upgrade also, and hit enter and let it do its magic, and it's going to download all the updates and it's going to install them. So there we go. You can see pretty much in real time. Again, depending on the speed of your computer, your hard drives, your I/O, basically, the internet. It technically shouldn't take that much time, provided you have, decent of all of the above. So we're going to give it a little bit more, and it's pretty much done. And there we go. It is done. That's it. That's how quick it was. Probably took, what, 20, 30 seconds to update. So we're going to clear the screen. We're going to go to the GitHub page here. Again, this is AdGuard's GitHub page. It shows you a little bit of information here. And, they do a little bit of competitive advertising, and they compare it to PiHole. And you can see here, these are the, what AdGuard Home does versus PiHole doesn't do. However, again, like they say, PiHole can do all, if not most, of what AdGuard does, but it requires a little bit of extra tweaking, and it's not out of the box set up like AdGuard. So that's why AdGuard, I like it, because it gives you a lot of the functionality that you want, especially at a home use environment, especially if you have kids too. And I'll show you, like safe search is a pretty big deal for me. Also parental blocking. And one really nice thing I like it is per device configuration is done very easily. Okay, so the one-line script to install AdGuard is over here. It's just a curl command, and it basically downloads the install.sh script and then pipes it to the shell again. So basically runs the script. So we're going to copy this, and you'll be amazed at how fast this installs. So if you hit paste, you hit enter. Okay, so there we go. That's a good example. So the base container of Ubuntu on Proxmox does not have curl on it. So again, it gives you the command here for curl. It's just very simple. So apt install curl. That should take no time at all. Clear, and we're going to paste again, and we're going to hit enter. And downloading, that's it. AdGuard is done. It's downloaded, configured, and installed. So as you can see here, it gives you the IP address of your AdGuard server. We're going to copy this, and we're going to copy this. Let me copy this first properly. So go here. Copy that, and we're just going to go to that IP address. And there we go. AdGuard is ready. It's ready to be configured. So we're going to hit get started, and we're going to use, instead of all interfaces, we're going to use the actual interface it's on for the admin web interface. So which is going to be whatever you set it to. Okay. And then we're going to use, there's also here, you can see the listen server for the DNS server. We're going to set it to the interface, so basically the IP address of the container. We're going to hit next. We're going to set an admin username, so we're going to do admin. We're going to hit next. We're going to hit next again, and we're going to hit open dashboard. So that's going to give you the login page for AdGuard. Let me get rid of this. You type in admin, sign in, and there we go. AdGuard is set up and ready to go. It was just that easy. That's how quick it was to set up AdGuard. I'm really impressed at how quickly AdGuard gets set up. So this is the main page. As you can see here, everything is all showing 0. You look at the settings, they've got general settings. You can see here, you can enforce safe search, use the parental control web service. You can also use this one, the AdGuard browsing security web service, so on and so forth. You can do all the logging, statistics. You can set it for up to 90 days, query log retention up to 90 days. There is one thing though, is that if you do increase it, that's fine. But if you decrease it, it will truncate anything in the past, okay? Going into the settings again, we've got your DNS settings. So by default, this is set to quad 9, but you can set multiple DNS servers. It's going to use load balancing. You can do parallel requests. You can use the fastest. You can set your own servers. It is literally very, very, full featured. You can also do DNSSEC, all sorts of things. You can set your DNS cache configuration, how long it's cached for, access settings, which clients use it. You can go to, for example, other settings such as encryption settings. You can also do the DNS over HTTPS and DNS over TLS. You can do all of that. You can also set up client settings. So you can add a client. So for example, if you give it a for example, like here, a tablet for a child, you can set the tag to user child and device tablet. So this is just for filtering rules, stuff like that. You can easily say that, all devices which are tagged as tablet should do like this. The identifier here, again, you can set up your MAC addresses. Now, it tells you here that you can only use a host name or an IP address or a client ID if AdGuard is the DHCP server, right? But in my case, AdGuard is not the DHCP server. Hence, you have to use the MAC address. So, for example, you can use a MAC address like this. You've got the global settings. So, for example, for this particular tablet, I want to say no, and then I want to say this, block this, set the parental, and enforce safe search for this. I can go to block specific services, and I can block all, right? Like I can, for example, instead of using the global settings, I can uncheck this. I can say, okay, I want 9GAG to be blocked on this device. Amazon, for example, Discord, Facebook. I can select whatever I want. I can hit save. There's also Upstream DNS Servers. So either this will use the configure DNS server, or if you want to push this particular device to a specific DNS server. So for example, like your more kid-friendly DNS servers or something like that, or a DNS server that does extra checks and balances for ensuring it's kid-friendly or hate speech friendly, whatever it is, right? You could do that also. So that's again very easy to set up, and then all you do is hit the save button, and there we go. So you can see here, it's very simply done here. And you can set up as many as you want here, right? So no issues like that at all. Then you can go to your DHCP settings here. And if you want to make AdGuard your DHCP server. Now, I haven't done it because I'm using my firewall's DHCP server. I'm doing a lot of other stuff on my firewall, which AdGuard can't do. So that's why I'm not using AdGuard as a DHCP server. However, if you want to, you can. All right. Then again, this is what I really like about AdGuard. So it comes with a default block list, but there's a couple of ad lists here which are not enabled. So if you check it immediately, you can see that the rules count went up to 8,718. We're going to check this one. This is 0. So again, this is I guess a list that's not being maintained. So I'm going to delete this because I don't want that there. I don't want it to be querying that list if it has nothing. I can add a block list, and then I can say choose from a list or add a custom list. So I'm going to show you the choose from a list because this is really nice. So they give you a couple of lists that they have, which you can do. So for example, you can go to Dan Pollock's list, you can actually go to their webpage and have a look at their list. You can go to the game console ad block list. You can see here there's a monstrous list of lists that you can block. So I'm going to select, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to hit save. And then if you give it a second or two, boom, there we go. You can see it suddenly starts populating it, and you can see that it's quite, quite a nice number of block lists already. If you wanted to add your personal block list or a list that's not listed in this catalog of lists, you can add a custom list and just give it a name, put in the URL, hit save, and there we go. It's part of the list. It's that easy, right? So I really, really like how AdGuard does that, right, for the lists. You've got allow lists also. You can say that a particular URL is allowed, so you're basically whitelisting it. You can do DNS rewrites. Again, I don't use that a lot. You can block services. Again, here, this is globally. So you can block all services globally and then just selectively unblock it. Or in my case, I do it the other way around, where like I tag the devices and then anything I want blocked will be blocked. Finally, you can go into the query log, and then you can basically do all sorts of queries, like you want to see your filtered, processed, blocked, adult websites blocks, all these things like that. And finally, you can then sign out. So, since this isn't set up as a DNS server for me, it looks very, very barren, but I'm going to give you an example of how my DNS server looks like. So you can see here, there we go. So you can see all the IPs here, all the DNS queries. You can see here that I've set my, history to about 1 week. So you can see, it's quite active, my network at home, 521,000 queries over the course of a week. And 86,000 of them are blocked. So roughly about 17% are blocked. And you can see here that, the blocked domains, like I have a Roku, and you can see that Roku is quite active when it comes to collecting data. So that's being blocked. A lot of Windows, Google Analytics, things like that, Live from Microsoft, TikTok again, block, so on and so forth. So as you can see here, it really does work. And again, no ads on my network. I really like that. I really don't mind ads, but at the same time, not when they're obtrusive and annoying and irrelevant for me, right? If they're tastefully done, I really don't mind it. Well, anyways, that's pretty much it. That's how easy it was to set up. Well, one last thing when it comes to setup is that you would have to go to your router. So whether you use Untangle like me, or whether you use a hardware router like a Linksys or a Netgear, but basically you want to go into your DHCP server settings. If I go to my network and I go to interfaces, and if I go to my internal, if I go to my DHCP, you can see here I've set the DNS override to 192.168.1.10. And what I've done also is if I go to my DHCP server here, I've actually assigned my AdGuard server a static IP. That's odd. It's not here on this list. Oh, that's because I set it up from Proxmox. Because again, if you look here, my DHCP scope actually starts at 100 to 200, right? So I've given about 100 devices DHCP in my house. So yeah, I mean, I've set it up hard-coded into Proxmox. You could do it either way, but in the case of your Linksys router or whatnot, you would actually have to do it statically assigned from there. And then at the same time, set your DHCP server on your router. Make sure that the DNS is set to the IP address of your container, so that it starts picking up and the DNS requests and blocking it basically. There's only one downside that I found to AdGuard, which is, I mean, PiHole does it, AdGuard doesn't do it. And I kind of miss it, which is it doesn't show live. Like right now, you will see that the numbers are not ticking up, but I have to click refresh statistics. You'll see that the numbers have changed. I have to click refresh statistics every time to see that page. I would have liked it if, let's say, the numbers were like Ajax style being pushed and updated in real time, like the way how PiHole did it. it was nice sometimes if you had that window open, you're doing a couple of tests on another computer or another window. This way you can see it in real time, the ads being blocked and the changes being done. But for example, in this case, you'd have to hit refresh and now you can see the numbers are ticking up. But other than that, honestly, I like the interface more. I feel it's easier to use. The query log is very easy to use. You can, say for example, you want to search for all the block threat. And this is where it takes a little bit of time because it's going through that whole database, finding out only that. So, if you're doing a lot of querying rather, then in that case, I would say up the CPU to 2 cores, 3 cores, or threads rather. Otherwise, one thread is more than enough, right? You can see that it took a little bit of time, but it was fairly quick, right? You can say block, for example, there we go. Blocked is going to be pretty quick, but especially if you're finding those single ones, it's going to be tough. Another thing is, for example, once you tag a client, you can immediately see here that it shows very easily like who's doing it, the name of the device, and you could go here and say, unblock for this client or disallow for the client. It's very easy. It's really nice and easy to do. I really like the way this is done on AdGuard, and so far the performance has been outstanding. It's been stable. It's been working great. Of course, my AdGuard is running on Fedora, but I just want to try it on Fedora and it works fine. There's no issues at all. So pretty good. I like it. Definitely give AdGuard a try. Compare it to PiHole. See how it works for you. There's no better. Honestly, I think they both do the same things. They both do it equally well. In the end, it really matters which one you like and which one you're comfortable with because the end result is roughly the same, right? So if you like this video, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and thank you for watching.